to introduce Sydney Filkey, who will be presenting session 2, which is task management. The tasks in Conservation Desktop are assigned to a specific user role if blank the user cannot complete the task in Conservation Desktop. So these permissions do not affect the user's ability to perform these tasks outside of Conservation Desktop and inside of Protrax or Fund Manager. So as you can see, we have a whole lot of different functionality and then the individual task descriptions here in the lesson plans, and then the individual user roles denoted by the X of who can complete those specific tasks. So we've got about 2.5 or 2 full pages of different tasks that can be covered by the different user roles in Conservation Desktop. So the task list is divided into several tabs. Non-managers or planners are going to have 4 tabs, which are assigned to me, available to me, completed by me, and the client. The managers, which include the designated conservationists, state programs, and approving officials, are going to have 6 different tabs. So they're going to have the same assigned, available, completed by me, and client, but they will also have managed by me and archived. So the Assigned to Me tab will include all tasks that have been assigned to a particular user that you're logged in as, either tasks that are assigned by a manager or that you've just assigned to yourself. The Available to Me tab includes all tasks that are available for a user to view and complete based on your actual user role, so back to that table up above, and your jurisdiction. So that Available to Me tab tends to be pretty comprehensive, very large, multiple pages depending on your user role and also what jurisdiction or area you have set in your preferences. So Managed by Me are all tasks within a manager's jurisdiction. The manager can also view tasks that have been completed by other users and tasks that have been abandoned. Abandoned tasks are tasks that are no longer necessary depending on the status of the application or contract. So depending on what has been done in Desktop or Protrax. Completed by Me, those are the tasks that have been completed by an individual user. The client are all tasks associated with the client in the context on the table of contents. Then you have the archive tasks for the managers, which are all tasks that have been completed for more than 30 days. Archive tasks are view only and will remain on the archive tab for up to 1 year from the archive date. So that's just giving us a record of what has the workflow been, what's been accomplished via our tasks. And then Viewable by Me are all tasks within a user's jurisdiction. And this tab is only present for users with view-only entitlements, such as the contract support. So for when you're looking up at those user roles, these are for the folks that have read-only privileges or view-only privileges. They have the Viewable by Me. So to begin working on a task from either the Assigned to Me or Available to Me tab, you're going to click the blue hyperlink from the task name, or you can click the Actions icon. And we've talked about this before, but the Actions icon is that vertical 3 little dots, and there's a lot of different components within Desktop where you can click on either the blue hyperlink or that Actions item, and it'll take you to the same location. So for the tasks, when you click the Actions icon, you can select Start Work, and then the task details will open up, and they include the relevant information regarding the task and the client. You can add clients to be viewed in your log, and the comments do not carry over to the assistance notes section. They are retained simply within that particular task. You can view the history of the task, but we do want to make sure you understand that those comments aren't just going to automatically show up in your conservation assistance notes. So make sure those would be specific to the task that you're completing, something your manager might need to know or something. Your tasks are designed to assist users through the workflow of a process. The following steps in the lesson plan will work through the application, obligation, and contract modification workflow. Specific user roles have been assigned to perform each task within Conservation Desktop. The ability to perform tasks is not associated with permissions in ProTrax. Please refer to the Conservation Desktop Financial Assistance Task Guide Release 1.2 for information about which roles have the ability to start work on the Conservation Desktop tasks. Finally, the refresh button on the task list is used to update the information from sources outside of Conservation Desktop, such as Document Management, ProTrax, and Conservation Client Gateway. An example of this would be the application that was uploaded to DMS. So with that, we're going to move on to our first block of lesson plans and look at the new features associated with task management. So, Lesson Plan 11, jumping in here, which is filtering a task by a service center. So the tasks are displayed in the task list for all service centers selected in your preferences. Users can create a filter for the task list to narrow the scope of service center tasks displayed for the current Conservation Desktop session. This will allow for users to select all service centers within their jurisdiction in the preferences and then allow the user to filter the task list by individual service centers. The objectives of this lesson plan are at the end of the lesson. You'll be able to filter the task list by individual service centers. So to get started, on the Conservation Desktop toolbar, select the task list. And then looking at those different tabs, we're going to select the Available to Me tab. And then select the Manage Service Center Filtering button or hyperlink. For Filter By options, we're going to select Custom, and then click in the State drop-down and select your state. Select the Service Center to filter by and click Apply. So now only the tasks for the selected service center will be displayed in the task list. To remove the filter, select the Manage Service Center Filtering link again. For Filter By, select User Preference Setting and click Apply. Now it's going to go back and just use everything that we've set up as our default user preferences. So tasks for all service centers in the user's preferences will be displayed. One thing to note is the filters are reset to match the user preferences each time Conservation Desktop is closed and reopened. These filters won't carry over to the next sessions that you log into Conservation Desktop. So that concludes Lesson Plan 11. Lesson Plan 12 is assigning a task. The rationale here is that tasks are automatically created within Conservation Desktop, are not assigned to a specific user. Managers have the ability to assign tasks to a specific user or a specific user role for completion from the Managed by Me tab. The task will be removed from the Available to Me tab and placed on the Assigned Users Assigned to Me tab. Tasks can be assigned to a specific user depending on the user's role and jurisdictions. At the end of this lesson plan, we will be able to assign a selected task to a specific user. In the Task List dialog, select the Managed by Me tab, and then select any task from the list. Select the Actions button and select Assign. Okay, for the Assign To, select Heather Hinson or Sean Browning and click Assign. So we're going to go with Sean Browning and assign the task. All right, so So next we're going to select the Managed by Me tab and verify the assigned task is showing the assignee as the owner. Click on the caret for the task and note the Service Center. You will need this for your next lesson plan. So in this case, our Service Center is going to be the Buckeye Service Center. And in the next lesson plan, we will log in as Sean Browning and use his login to get through the next lesson plan. So for right now, we're going to log out of Conservation Desktop. And then in lesson plan 13, we're going to log in as Sean. And just a reminder, we're doing this log out and log in to go over how this would work when you're working in an office with multiple people. So we're just kind of stepping through this process of we've been one person, now we're going to jump over and do the work required by Sean or that other person in your office or state. So lesson plan 13, we're going to have users that have tasks assigned to them for completion by a manager can reject the task within the task details. This will remove the task from the user's Assigned to Me tab and move it to the Available to Me tab. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to reject an assigned task. So we're in the process of logging into Conservation Desktop as Sean Browning because that's who we assigned the task to in the previous lesson plan. And as this comes up, we're going to move straight to the user preference because we want to get in, we're going through this workflow, and so we're logging in as Sean Browning, and we want to make sure that his preferences are set to include that Buckeye Service Center. That's why we had to record it in the last lesson plan, is to make sure that his preferences are set to include that Service Center, because when we go to the tasks, it's going to pull off of those user preferences. And that's what it's going to initially bring up as the different tasks that are available in that Assigned to Me tab. So we're just going to go in and double check those preferences once Conservation Desktop fully loads. And we can see that the Buckeye Service Center is indeed located in the preferences. And so from there, we're going to select the task list and then select the Assigned to Me tab. If you had made changes in the user preferences in order to get that Buckeye Service Center up, we would need to click on the refresh button in order to make sure that all of our assigned tasks were showing up. But in the meantime, we can select the Manage Service Center filtering. And we can filter the task list by the Service Center for this assigned task, which is the Buckeye Service Center. And then we can click Apply. And then we can select the assigned task on the Assigned to Me tab. And we can click the Actions button and select the View Details. And then this is where we get the opportunity in the task details to click on the Task Actions button, and we can actually go and reject that task. So once we've selected the reject option, we'll get the reject task window, and that's where we can enter a reason for the rejection. So click outside of the text box and then click the reject button once you've entered your reason. And we can go back to the Assigned to Me tab and ensure the rejected task has been removed from this task. And then if we go to the Managed by Me tab, the owner column for the rejected task should now be blank. And it is. And that concludes Lesson Plan 13. So the users have the tasks assigned to them for completion by a manager can escalate the task within task details. Tasks are escalated based on the ability of the assigned user to complete the task. For example, a vendor issue task could be escalated to a state's vendor coordinator to correct the issue. This will remove the task from the assigned user's Assigned to Me tab and move it to the Assigned to Me tab of the user that is receiving the escalated task. Tasks can be escalated to a specific user depending on the user's role and their jurisdictions. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to assign a task to a specific user, log into Conservation Desktop as that specific user, and escalate the assigned task to a specific user. So as I mentioned, we're kind of moving around here because we're trying to give the user the opportunity to try out the tasks that are available for all of these different roles. So we're going to start by selecting the Managed by Me tab and locate a task that is associated to the Service Center for your assigned login account or assigned client. If needed, you can use Manage Service Center filtering or click on the caret to the left of the task to view the Service Center. Select Assign under the Actions column for the task you're choosing to use. When the Assign Task window comes up, under Assign To, select the username for your assigned Conservation Desktop login and click Assign. Select the Managed by Me tab and verify that the assigned task is showing that the assignee is now the owner. Sorry about that, my screen froze and I figured it was already moving along. So we're going to just wait for the assign to reload. All right, so we can go to the Managed by Me. We can see that the task is now showing that Heather Hinson is the owner. So we can now log out of Conservation Desktop because we're currently logged in as Sean Browning. And then we're going to go back to the Conservation Desktop login. And we're going to log back in with our assigned user login here. So in this case, we were just in as the assigned user a few minutes ago. We know our preferences are set, so we're going to go straight to the task list and select the Assigned to Me tab once that task list screen opens. So we're on Assigned to Me. Select View Details under the Actions column for that task that is now assigned to us. And then under the task actions, we're going to click on that and select Escalate from the drop-down. So we're going to be given the option to select a user to escalate the task to. So in this case, we're going to go back and select Sean Browning as our user, and then hit the Select button. So then we're going to enter a reason for escalating the task in the comment section. You can enter in anything for this, and then click outside of the task box, and then click the Submit button. As that loads, we're going to be able to go back to the Assigned to Me tab, and we're going to be able to see that the escalated task is removed from our Assigned to Me tab. If we go to the Managed by Me tab, we can note that the task is now assigned to Sean Browning. Because we assigned it to him. So lesson plan 15, which is going to be the last lesson plan you guys are listening to me chit-chat about, is going to be manually creating and deleting a task. So tasks that are manually created and assigned to a specific user or user role can be deleted. Tasks can be deleted if it is no longer needed, such as a prepare NRCS CPA 153 would no longer be needed before it was approved if a client requests cancellation of a contract. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to manually create and assign a task to a specific user and delete the manually created task. We're going to start by selecting Search on the Conservation Desktop toolbar. We're going to leave your default state and service center, but input a client name and click the Search button. And select an active contract from the application/contract results in order to open it. It is key here to select an active contract. In the table of contents, once that contract opens, we're going to click on the contract number. It's going to be at the bottom of our table of contents, and select the Create Contract Related Task options. From the Create Contract Task option, we're going to select Prepare NRCS CPA 153. And then we're going to assign the task to ourselves. So your assigned Conservation Desktop login account. In this case, we're using Heather Hinson. And then select a due date. After you get a due date, enter a comment in the comment field, and then click on Submit. So we'll select the Close button to verify that the task was created, and then we're going to go back to the task list to look and make sure that that showed up. It should be on our Assigned to Me tab, and it is there where we see Prepare NRCS CPA 153. You could also, if you had a lot of tasks here, filter the tasks to show Prepare NRCS CPA 153 and select Apply if we were using the filtering. In this case, there's only one, but we do have that option there. So select the Prepare NRCS CPA 153 task. You can do this by clicking the Actions icon and select View Details. In the Task Details, we can click the Task Actions button and select Delete from the list that drops down there. And then select the Submit button to complete the Delete the task. So the Assign to Me tab refreshes, and note that the Prepare NRCS CPA 153 task was removed from the Assign to Me tab. And then we can log out of Conservation Desktop. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and I am done with lesson plans 1 through 15. So I think I'll turn it back over to Shandy, and she can talk to us about what's next.
Perfect. Thank you, Sydney. I do have a few questions that are popped in the Q&A pod. Reminder that if you do have questions, we're going to cover a few of those now, and I'll put Heather on the spot. So the first question is, when you are assigning a task and you have a list of names, whose names will show up as follow-up to that? Just the people assigned as your employees or a different group? Heather, could you address that?
Sure. The list of names that shows up are the employees or users that have user roles for that specific service center that task is tied to for that client.
Perfect. Next question. Do you have to use these tasks, or can you manage work the way you always have?
Well, you can certainly manage the way you always have, but just trying to go through the workflow, and when you have questions about a particular contract or application, it's good to know like who's working on that specific task, or has anyone worked on it, and where is that application or contract within a certain workflow process.
Thank you. When someone assigns a task to you, will you be notified outside of CD, for example, by email, or do you just have to keep checking CD to see if you have tasks?
You have to go into CD to see if you've had any tasks assigned. As a manager, you can make that decision to send an email to a user letting them know that you have assigned a task to them, but CD will not notify you.
Perfect. If you delete a task, does it show up in a history somewhere, or is it just gone?
It is just gone.
Fair enough. That's all the